What is up, guys? Welcome back to another edition of Form Check Friday. Got Miana here once
Hello.
again. And these are always fun to run to both showcase the team and give you guys a little bit of insight in what we're looking for in terms of coaching lifts. And got a couple of these today where I think like the biggest thing that lifters and coaches need to understand is that depending on how someone is treating someone and someone's thought process going into a lift, like that can be one of the biggest things to fix because if someone's having repeat problems, it's probably not so much what they're doing as it is what they are thinking about as they're doing it. And their thought process involved in the training session, their intent is then going to either give them a better outcome or a shittier outcome.
True.
But that one's later down on the list, so we'll save that for a little bit later.
There you go.
But you guys ready to get rolling? I think it's only us in the chat right now, so I probably shouldn't ask that. But
Chris says, "Heyo,"
well, Chris, you're getting fucking yelled at, buddy.
in a nice way.
Probably not nice. I think like my exact conversation with Miana before starting this was, I don't know how I'm gonna do this without getting too fucking pissed off. So we're off to a good start. So with a diet, my tolerance for bullshit is at a all-time low. So yeah.
So fun for us. Okay, well, let's.
Anyways, we'll get rolling.
Yep. And we capped her off at 5 again today, so we're keeping it short and
we'll
sweet.
see, because Ahmed, I don't know, he tossed her in.
Oh,
fifth.
so we've got 6?
We've got 6. I don't know if we'll do 6. We'll see how we're running
Okay.
on time because we got a podcast to record this evening. But
Yeah.
Lucas running 2-inch block pulls and some rounded back stiff legs, trying to work on start position, which we have been dialing in. Quad work seems to be helping, but it doesn't feel like he's super assertive with leaving the floor. And stiff legs have been a staple for the last few months. We got him on those to help desensitize his old herniated disc injury, so he's able to actually pull heavy again. So let's take a look.
Full screen?
Yep, remembering that today.
Look at that hair.
Yeah, I'm envious.
I was going to say, are you jealous? Seth used to have long curly hair.
So what are you thinking?
Can you go back to the start one more time?
I know he's going to work up.
I was distracted by his hair. I do wish there was a little bit more quad, which is kind of what he's talking about too, right?
But I think like what I'm looking at is, like, I know this is like, we'll scan ahead until he gets more weight on the bar, but at the 2 plates it's kind of acceptable. We're going to see how this looks. He's a little bit soft going to the bar. Do you see what I'm talking about? Like, we're just watching his upper back, like watching
his brace,
watching where his traps are going. Like, he's not really pushing through the floor, pushing up into the bar until the bar is already moving. So I think the biggest thing right here to
you can even kind of see like the slack go into his shoulders when he does that initial pull.
Really pay attention to his shoulders. Like, watch how the arms get longer as soon as he's driving into the bar. So that tells us when he's up here, what we could be doing is pushing through the floor to try to drive rib cage up away from hands, and that should help him get more slack out of his shoulder girdle, and that should let him have a more productive lat set. And then the other thing I'm thinking to make better use of the quads is when he's pushing up, he should be putting tension in the quads in this position, and then the goal is going to be to use his hamstrings to curl him into that quad tension.
Yeah.
And I think that should lead to a way more assertive break.
Yes. And like I was kind of saying at the start, like I do wish there was more quad. He's like leaning back a lot at the start of it. But I think like we said before, like the symptom isn't always like the root of what's going on. Like it definitely is like starting from the brace. That's kind of like getting him into that like lean back, less quad position.
And I think just having that more tension when the hips are high to set that brace is going to make a big difference here. And on the stiff legs, I think what we can do to refine this to make it better for that intent is I kind of want to expose that hip hamstring tension to drive hips to the bar, because when we're wedging on a conventional deadlift with the more dynamic start, it's like we're using hips hams to drive hips to the bar, drive knees forward. And to make the stiff leg more effective, with how he's set up here, he's kind of just tipped forward, bent over the bar. And what I want to do is I want to get the bar closer to his shins so he can reach the hips further back, and then we're exaggerating that hip hamstring shove into the bar. And I think that should kind of help refine that pre-tension a little bit better. And you got to see here too, like slack is coming out of him once the bar is already moving. So even on the stiff legs, it's like we just want to dig into that pre-tension so we can have a bit better set. And I think what I'd want him really, really, really prioritizing in terms of other accessories underneath this right now would be running a glute ham raise with a pause in the bottom. And The reason I like the pause GHR is this is going to be like the end picture, but with the pause GHR, the big thing that I want to try to accomplish out of it is like it's that aggressive like ham. If we're holding hard, holding hard, holding hard, we're having ham tension, and then it's like ham curl. And if we can get better at creating that ham tension at the bottom of a held GHR, curling out of it, we should be able to be more aggressive, more assertive with the leg curl into the bar on that deadlift start. And what we can progress that to is starting to do the pause GHR as a isometric against an immovable object. And one of my favorite ways to do that is to set a heavy kettlebell on a box at the bottom of the GHR. So I can hold on to the heavy kettlebell. I'm talking like 120, 100 pounds, whatever, and grab onto that sucker, curl against it. It's going to be so heavy that you shouldn't be able to move it. Hold that intense isometric contraction for a 3 to 5 count, let go, blast the top, repeat. And I bet if you got really good at those, push hips back further on stiff leg, and then tried to learn to get that tension into the deadlift wedge, thinking it would be a whole lot smoother for him. Now, got Aaron here. I know we've been yelling at him because he's getting ready for his first meet, and we've been yelling at him for his pause quality. And he wants to know if we like syncing as a strategy.
No.
And again, like, some people can make a
Some
sync
people can make it
work, but a lot of people syncing makes it a lot worse. Now,
do I go full screen?
Yeah, I got to go full screen.
Yeah.
Thank you for the reminder. But I'm not too upset with how this is looking, and I really wouldn't.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't call that a sync, because usually when I'm thinking about
No.
syncing, I'm like thinking about like a guy where you can literally see the bar squishing his rib cage down. I would say that this is acceptable, and I think as far as pause length, pause quality, I think the biggest thing to be trying to do is, again, like, if we aren't committing to like a actual sync, I just probably try to lock it up a little bit more and almost imagine that you are just trying to barely touch your t-shirt.
Yes.
So that's going to cut a little bit of range off. You're not really syncing enough to get any benefit. And I think if we were to sync more, knowing your tendencies, you'd probably get a little bit loosey-goosey. So I'd probably just be trying to lock this up harder and stop that bar a bit sooner.
Harder catch, for sure.
Yes. And what I'd be thinking to generate that is like right here, when the bar is like a millimeter off the chest, is just like visualize trying to use your upper back to lift the chest to the bar. And that contraction, I know everyone wants to say like, oh, we shouldn't be trying to row into a bench press because it'll make it harder on the pecs. But the thing is when your humerus is behind your rib cage, the lat's leverage runs out of pulling, and the lat becomes it's going to stop that further humeral extension. So that's how upper back can help lock up in the bottom. And if we try to deliberately lift chest to the bar, that's going to fire the lats there, get them into the picture so they can help lock up. So I just be thinking about a little bit more like just trying to lift chest in, and we should be able to improve that touch
Apparently,
quality.
folks can't see the screen.
Oh no. Oh no. Well, this is the worst live stream ever.
Well, I'm glad that I decided to have it open on my phone today. The chat, at least.
This is ruined. We shouldn't have done this live.
Oh no. It's all good. All good.
I'll have to edit this. So pretending, got Aaron's bench here. So
we're gonna go back in time, guys. We're
going back in time. Gonna restart. Got Aaron's bench here. He's wondered about his pause quality and if syncing is a valid strategy and if JMs are a good accessory for him. And since we already did this, but looking at this, I'll keep this short and sweet. So again, like this touch, I think the biggest thing is if we can just try to lift chest a little bit more, because I don't want to see him trying to dump into the ribcage further, because I think with where he is, he'll end up getting loose with where the tension is. But if his goal was to, when the bar gets like to about there, if we were to try to lift chest to the bar, that should help upper back get in and lock it up, so we can make the touch just a smidgen tighter, cut a little bit of range off.
Yeah.
But I think like as far as pause duration, I think length's okay. It's just some of these we have that little bit of up and down going on that might get called on a meet.
Yeah, and like I think the biggest concern with like that kind of pause in a meet is that the judges or the refs sometimes won't actually call start the pause or give you a press command until it's done moving. And if it like touches your chest and then continues moving for even like a half second, that's just like extra time that bar is going to be on your chest.
With these JMs, I think what I'm trying to pay attention to is if we're looking at the bottom of the range of motion, like he's getting a good amount of elbow band. Like I'm really happy with where the elbows are going, but he's going back all the way to the bottom by rolling the shoulder, right? So he's getting the bar down further by rolling the shoulder. And if we're doing that on a JM, that is going to, obviously it's going to be giving the shoulder a little bit of rotational work, which isn't a terrible thing, but the goal of the JM is to load the triceps as hard as we can. So I think two things that I want to do is to help eliminate that shoulder roll while still getting the same elbow bend is if we narrow the grip way up, and instead of trying to keep the elbows like pinned close to the rib cage, if we let it go flare just a tiny bit, because we don't want to be way out here on a JM, we want to have some degree of tuck, but if we narrow the grip up, rotate grip so he's a little bit more internally rotated, he should be able to just like fold on himself like a diamond push-up and should be able to eliminate that shoulder roll all entirely and should be able to put a little bit more weight on so we push the triceps a bit harder. But I think that's going to be all we need to do to make this a very pretty looking JM press. Now we got Gavin in here. Met Gavin when I was over in Ireland at the seminar.
Oh, cool.
So he's running the plus squat attempts on deadlift. He's running my 531 programming in here. And he's down 20 kilos of body weight since his meet in May. And can't think what he's doing differently and only down about 10, 12 so far. So I think like the big thing with weight loss, if he is, you know, that much lighter than he has been, is when a guy is less rotund on a deadlift, like I experienced this heavily, like my deadlift took such a big hit getting less fat, and that was just because I had less like gut running into my thighs in the bottom.
Yes.
And my solution to this is, again, like he's looking like he's doing the backside wedge pretty darn good. Like he's pushing his hips to the bar pretty darn well. But I think like with how he's going to the bar, if we're kind of just paying attention here, his abs and hip flexors aren't really on right when he's reaching for it. So what I'd really commit to is like right here is abs hard as you can. Lock that brace in and then actively pull yourself down with hip flexors just so we can create some of that tension that will be lacking with the absence of the belly running into the thighs. And if we can really kind of like emphasize, like we still want to have that hard push from the hamstrings, that hard push from the hips to get over the bar. But if we can add a little bit of like active pulling in with abs and hip flexor sensation, flex abs hard as we're getting in there, we should be able to make that feel a little bit more fluid.
I like to think about like scooping my ribs to my hips almost.
And for me, like I'm thinking like pulling my hips to my ribs to get the cue to work right. But I think a little same thing.
Same thing.
It's creating tension. That's pulling the same things together.
Anterior tension.
Yes. And I think like what might happen too is if he did a better job of that, is if we're watching when he wedges into his upper back set, like he's decently round the lumbar.
He's saying his deadlift is down 20 keys, not his body weight.
But again, I think
same idea.
Body weight's down 10, 12, right? But what I'd also be thinking too is like if we can get a little bit more of the anterior tension, he's pretty roundy in lumbar. He's pretty flat thoracic. I think we had a stronger like pull and tried to like get that pull to get the thoracic rounder, we probably could end up with a bit flatter lumbar spine and get better hips in as well. So
either way, whether or not you did lose body weight, I still think anterior tension is going to be.
And the other thing to be mindful of as well is like he ran a pretty darn good peak into his meet, is that like if we're basing our expectations post meet to the stuff we were hitting during the peak, we're going to screw ourselves just because we're no longer peaked. And like the nature of a peak isn't just like we peak for the meet. We're not going to be able to just keep climbing from there. Like we peaked for the meet, we hit our peak. So like
that's really important context too, because like our jobs as powerlifters isn't to show strength year round. It's to show strength in a meet. So like I also can't do 40 kilos close to my max right now, post meet, you know, like I wouldn't worry about it too much. Like I would just kind of worry about, like, am I getting stronger week after week and not like comparing that to max.
Yeah. And I think that the other thing too is like being okay with having that post meet regression, I think is one of the better skills that lifters can have. And like Dave Tate will always talk about how he wants lifters to take time off of barbell for like 6-8 weeks post meet. And like part of that is like letting people freshen up a little bit. But the other part of that is it can kind of like negate that post meet lull for a little bit, just because if we aren't touching a barbell and then we can ease back in, we're going to have maybe a mentally easier time with getting back to building momentum versus going like, why the hell is this thing that I smash my opener suddenly feels so heavy. So I think it is just like the coming off of a meet, losing body weight, levers getting weird. Like we just
Mm,
gotta adjust expectations to match where we are, and if we do that, we should be in a better spot.
yes.
Now we got Austin
What's up, Austin? Is he
hitting.
here?
He's hitting a new squat PR, and again, like last week, he was kind of asking about wanting to swap variations around, and again, like this kind of confirms what I was saying last week on these, is like with
Want to
how
go full
things are.
screen?
Yes,
Thank you.
with how things are rolling for Austin right now, like I don't think we need to be doing too much craziness. And what I'm happy about is like last week we were talking about
Yeah.
is like we need to refine the walkout tension, and like it still was it's better than it was last week, but like the
Mm-hmm.
fact that he's scooping his elbows that hard after he's set
That's
up,
exactly what I'm
he can
thinking.
just find more of
Find it
that
sooner.
sooner, and it should lead to better tension because if he's loose through the walkout, stumbling around, the hammer strength rack is going to suck because it's so
Yeah.
narrow too. But if you can just like find that hard elbow pack before the unrack, that's just going to lead to a tighter brace for the walkout. It should make it easier to not
Mm-hmm.
clip the hammer strength rack, and it should make the squat feel lighter on his back because like having a fight for your life on a walkout doesn't make it fun. And if
Yeah.
we just have more tension after the unrack, it should help. And the other
Oof.
thing too,
Yeah.
looking at it, is he's kind of just standing up and stepping. The big thing that I want to do when I'm walking out is making sure that when I have stood up from the rack, I am giving myself a second to let the bar settle, let all the whip come out, make sure everything's
Mm.
situated before I step. And that just, again, leads to a better tension situation to set the squat off of. Because if you're loosey goosey on your setup and walkout, it's going to be a really hard time to create all the tension that we need
Yeah.
when we are squatting.
One thing that I'm kind of thinking with that walkout, um, because the plates are hitting the rack on his walkout, I think he might be stepping out too wide. Like
Yeah.
it might almost be better to like
But
instead of thinking like out back laterally, like maybe just taking like one step back and then
but
kind of
but my thoughts too is like the limitations of this. This is a Rogue Ohio power bar with the skinny collars. Looking
yeah,
at it,
no,
the limitation of a Rogue Ohio power bar on a hammer strength rack is it's going to be very difficult to not clip just because the plates are going to be so damn close.
yeah, that's why
So
I'm
like I do agree with Miana, but I think like the bigger thing is he normally trains at a gym with better
oh
equipment.
okay. So it's
So
fine.
it's one of those things where it's like hammer strength rack, we might want to refine
Mm,
the big lateral swing on the steps a little
mm-hmm.
bit. But I think when he gets into his normal gym, like I'm not going to be
Okay, yeah.
too worried about that.
This isn't a normal setup for him.
Yeah,
Okay.
just because it's the awkward setup with the stupid hammer strength rack.
Yeah, I remember I like grew up as a lifter using what these racks and they can be a little sketch.
And looking at his fronties, he's running fronties to try to build quad strength, which again I think should be a pretty big staple for him right now. And with these guys, what I try to be mindful of is again like similar thing, like just unrack tension, like get that head back, get that elbow driven forward before we pick, maintain it through the walkout so we don't have to search for it. But I think in terms of the front squats as a quad builder, what I'd probably be looking for is like right now, hips are pretty far behind the bar, and he's not getting a ton of knee travel. So I think what I'd be thinking
Yes.
for these, Austin, is if we can narrow the stance up a little bit, make the
Yeah.
goal to like squeeze glutes hard at the top, and then use that glute tension to drive us into the quads. We should be able to get a little bit more knee flexion. It should be way freaking harder. So like we might expect that like you know 185 feels heavier than this,
Yes.
but I don't think that if we can make it harder because we're loading the quads more, we should be able to get more out of it and get better carryover back to the squat.
Yes.
The other thing is, I think part of it is because he's so hit back on the fronty. You can see as the reps get harder, he's having to fling his head harder to try to not feel like he's falling forward. And you got to see that like the bar wants to wander. I think that that problem will be solved because if we are using the hips to drive us further, we get more forward knee travel. We're going to be more upright in the bottom. We won't feel like we're fighting for our lives and getting tipped forward.
For sure. In a lot of ways it kind of looked like a low bar squat but with a front rack position, which isn't really
Yeah.
conducive for what we're trying to do.
Now, Chris, as promised with the yelling, so
Go full screen.
for those of you guys watching, so Chris competed not too long ago. Back was a little bit sticky post meet. He tweaked it after the meet, tweaked it a little bit again, tweaked it again on this third rep here. And it kind of comes back to that whole like expectations with circumstance. And I was kind of talking a little bit about part of it today is like we shouldn't expect for stuff to feel good post meet. But the other thing too is like if we've had like a couple little back tweaks going into this, we shouldn't expect just to be able to go and deadlift. And I know talking to him a lot about like getting back on the prep work hard. But the thing about the prep work is like the prep work is just setting the range of motion up so that we can do a better job of it in training. And then when it comes to the training, like we got to earn the right to put weight back on the bar. And like right now, this is again, just like to me, even though it is light, because I understand, guy that's capable of pulling six, like 495 off a block shouldn't be that hard, which I mean, first rep, it doesn't look that hard. And like logically, you think you should be good to go. But what I'd be kind of framing it as is if you know that your back is sensitive right now, is like, okay, instead of being aggressive on jumps, like all we need to do is think like maybe first work set at 4 plates, take a 10-pound jump and just make sure everything's perfectly situated. Take another, or take a 20-pound jump, like slap a 10 aside and go 425. 425 feels perfect. Go 445. 445 feels perfect. Go 465. Because I think if we took smaller jumps on this day, we wouldn't be in a position where we go like, because I'm assuming you went like 4.5, 5 plates, or even if you went like 4 or 5 plates, like either of those options, if we're coming off of a tweak, like that's a really freaking big jump. And instead of, again, like that jump, totally normal when you're healthy, feeling good, and things are firing. So I think a lot of it is just taking a jump appropriate to the circumstance to let us have a chance to actually build momentum instead of having this repeat frustration. And even if that means like if we only ended up at 465 on this day, like that would still be a better outcome because we could build momentum versus having to take 3 steps backwards because we had another little flare up. So I think it is just like being that little bit more in the pocket. And even though this is in the pocket, it wasn't in the pocket enough with where the back conditioning is. And the other thing I'd be thinking about too is if 495 is enough to get things to be weird, it's like where's loading at on single leg RDLs? Where's loading at on our safe hinges? Because like if single leg RDLs aren't being pushed right now, if we start pushing them, and again, it's like my standard for single leg RDLs for someone that's pulling 600 is they should be able to just walk up to a 100-pound dumbbell cold and blast out a set of 20 and have zero issue. So if that is not you right now, it's like we just got to make sure we're building the base with that, getting our ability to transfer force through from the hip through the SIJ up to the torso with a single leg RDL. Make sure we're taking small jumps and earning the right to add weight versus just assuming that because we were strong, we can toss more on. So it's kind of like one of the things where it's just like if we're expecting to feel perfect and we're in a circumstance where we probably shouldn't, we just got to adjust our expectations for where we are on the day. And like it is a very hard thing to do as a lifter to have that restraint to let you build momentum. But if you're not building momentum, we got to just change how we're thinking about it.
Even if next week he does 405 and it like moves perfect, everything's good and beautiful, his back feels good, even if he only adds 20 pounds the next week and 20 pounds, like that, he would be back to where he needed to be in like 4 weeks, or maybe even having 2 weeks of like pulling back a little bit might give him enough to go forward. So do you want to like critique the form on it at all, or do you want to just like leave it at that?
Well, I think a lot of it is like there's nothing really all that technically wrong other than
he kind of like shifts back on the last one, but I think that's just
because like looking at this
for
last rep, it's like
immediately pulls back because the hamstrings and
again, I think that is just the not trusting the back and the back not being ready to go.
Yeah, agreed.
So, and again, like if you say you're at 65 kettlebells, like we gotta step that shit up. Because like my this is too light, and I'm kind of like I gotta stop being freaking lazy because all of the heavier dumbbells are 1,000 feet away in the stupid giant gym. I've just been using 250-pound kettlebells for my warm-ups, so like 100 total pounds for my warm-ups. I should be less lazy and just walk over and grab a 140 like I was doing before.
Yeah.
But
that and cranking ab work, I'd say.
Yeah. And like, because if ab work isn't being pushed right now either, it's like that's going to be an easy lever to pull to get the thing more situated.
Yeah. And like push ab work, push it, add load to it. Like you should be doing like GHR sit-ups with 20, 40 pounds kind of thing. Like,
and like right now it's like start body
weight.
But again, like make the goal to be able to do GHR sit-ups with 100 pounds on your chest.
Yeah, for sure. I actually did see Jocelyn in the gym doing GHR sit-ups with a 100-pound sandbag.
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's a
So
strong girl.
yeah, so don't get beat by a girl.
Yeah, don't get beat by a girl.
And again, like, and I'm talking like my warm-ups for single leg RDLs too, Chris. Like if I'm training a single leg RDL, I'm doing it on a landmine or a Smith machine, so I'm stabilized and I'm loading like 200 plus pounds on it to actually work hard enough. So like the standard of what to expect there, if we elevate that standard, make it stronger, then we're going to be so much more resilient to actually pull.
I can do single leg RDLs with 65 pounds.
Yeah, Leanna sucks.
I'm the
She's
worst.
weak as shit.
We say this lovingly.
Yeah.
Let's just go for it.
Yeah, we're gonna go to
Let's do Ahmed. We'll take another minute here. We got time
before Travis gets here. So GHR sit-ups. What are you thinking?
The like sunbeams in his mirror are like tripping me out a little bit. Okay, hang on. So like a couple thoughts that I have are that I would want to see like a harder stop at the bottom with the knees completely straight, glutes completely locked. And I like to almost think of it like the end of a GHR sit-up should be almost like the top of a deadlift.
Yes.
So like ribs are like crunched down, everything, your body should be completely stiff and straight. I don't love the angle that he's doing here, like how low the feet are.
Yeah,
but
I think
it's like bending his knees a little bit, and I don't like that.
Yeah, and I forget who it was, but there's someone else in here that we were talking about these where he was feeling a ton of quad pump during GHR sit-ups, and like if the feet are below the pad, it's going to make it so easy for rec fem to kick in.
Yeah.
And I think like big thing I'd want to do is just raise the foot plate up.
Yeah.
At the bottom, make your goal to hold hard, flex glutes hard, and then use that as your foundation to curl up off of. And we should be able to make it a little bit more effective in terms of getting carryover back to squat, deadlift, brace. And the other thing too is like he's doing 10 million freaking reps here, so we could add some load,
add some weight,
some load for freaking sure. But I'm okay with this as GHR setup. I think just like higher foot plate, more deliberate bottom end, and we should be able to make her a little bit more better for him.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if that foot plate does raise. I think it does.
I think it should.
It should.
I want to assume.
Yeah, I hope it does.
Or maybe I think the thigh pad might drop.
Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
So drop thigh pad.
Yeah, we want it to be like more like perpendicular to the floor. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Otherwise,
Yeah. Like the right idea, we just refine execution a little bit, but that's what we got for today's FCF edition. And it's not just like the FCF where we do this. We have the entire team where, we're going through like literally hundreds of lifts and posts a day, helping lifters figure their shit out, giving lifters the same kind of advice as this, setting them up with better programming. So if you are stuck in powerlifting, no matter what you are stuck with, like hit the link below, sign up for the team, and we will get you sorted.
Yeah.
So
there's lots. We also do twice a week. We do office hours, so you can ask Seth anything you want.
Not anything.
Not anything. Not anything. We sometimes get some fun rants from him.
Yeah.
Trying to think what the last rant that we got out of you was, but
I don't remember.
Okay.
It's too many.
Only for the team.
When I'm not on a podcast, I feel like I could get more angry and unleash it more, but
yeah, it's like a little private rant sesh.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't have to worry about getting
canceled.
Not that I'm saying anything obscene. I'm not saying anything obscene.
No, but you get a little more fired up.
I get a little more sassy.
Yeah, and it's fun.
Speaking of sassy,
yeah, go for it.
This is cool. I'm just gonna show Steven's deadlift off because
do it.
So this was him. I just remembered this ass, but this was him a year ago.
Go full screen.
Going full screen. Anyways, fired up as shit. So like, doesn't move great. Knees are wobbly. Everything's weird. And again, like super high hype levels there. And this is his last warm up, but going to top set. Clearly, oh no, it's frozen.
Oh no!
You don't get to see it, but this
It's go back. Let it. I think it just needed to load.
But look at the knee timing. Look at the lockout.
So much better.
And not hyped as shit. A little bit hyped, but much calmer lift. And I'm freaking stoked to see that.
That's so much better.
Yeah, that's my